In this video, we're going to do a quick follow-up on the Nexus 4 wireless charging orb. So let's get to it. So I bought this charger the day it came out, or at least I ordered it the day it came out from Google Play. And after shipping and taxes, this thing cost me about $70. And it's really a cool little device. It looks cool. It looks like an orb cut in half. And when you sit it down and put your phone on it, it makes for a nice stand. Now, right now, obviously, the orb needs to be plugged into a wall outlet, and it's not, so it's not going to be charging the phone. But when you put the phone on there, it sort of grips on to the orb because there's a very tacky, and I don't mean that in a class sense, I mean it in a sticky sense, a very tacky piece of rubber here. So it shouldn't slip. Now, lately I've discovered that when you put the phone on here and you hear the charging sound, which again you're not going to hear in this video because the orb's not plugged in, but if you're curious about that, check my previous video and there'll be a link at the end of this video for that. But when you charge the phone, or lately when I've discovered when I charge the phone, I put it on here, and then usually at night before I go to bed. And the next morning I look at my phone and it's slid down. So much to the point where it's no longer in contact with the orb. So there's been times when I leave the house after supposedly charging it on this thing with my battery at about 50% or lower. Sometimes it's even redlining. Now the reason for that is twofold. Number one, they don't use a magnet in the Nexus 4 and this charging orb to match up a contact point and then keep it in place. They just rely on that tacky, almost sticky rubber. And the other thing is that the back of the Nexus 4 is glass. So, as glass is normally, it's pretty slick. The other thing I've encountered is that since this is a tacky, almost sticky rubber, it does attract a lot of dust, and I think you can see the dust there. So, I'm going to give this charger one last try because it could be all my fault. It could be the dust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol and I'm going to clean this off, get it as clean as I possibly can, and see if this is going to charge properly again. Because it's gotten so bad to the point where it's about 50-50 chance of this phone charging or not. And for a $70 product, that's pretty much unacceptable. But again, it could be a maintenance issue, so we're going to give it another try. So I have my rubbing alcohol here, and I'm going to try a paper towel. Now, obviously, you want to try and use something that is going to clean the lint or clean the dust and not leave more lint or dust on there. Now, paper towel will probably do that, especially if you used it dry. We're going to see if the rubbing alcohol keeps those fibers on the paper towel. The other option is using a microfiber cloth. So, I'm going to open up my rubbing alcohol here and put a little on the paper towel. As always, since this is a piece of electronics here, you want to make sure that it's unplugged and that you're not going to be drowning it in water, or in this case in alcohol, rubbing alcohol. You just want enough on the towel there so that it will clean and not get into the crevices. But it looks like it's doing a good job just as is. And you can see there's a chunk of dust on there. So, let's see if I can get most of it off. I think that did it. And as you can see, it's still a little bit of the rubbing alcohol on there, but I'm going to let it dry out really nicely. So I'm going to let it sit for, I don't know, maybe half hour or something like that, just to make sure that it's dried out before I plug it back in. And then I'm going to give it one last try, because again, for a $70 item, I want it to work reliably. And through the magic of editing, I'll give you an update right now. Okay, quick update on the orb here. I let it dry out, and that's very important. You never want to have potentially anything liquid in something electronic, even if it is rubbing alcohol, because rubbing alcohol will evaporate faster than water will, but you want to make sure you give enough time to something to dry out, even if there's any potential that there's any liquid in there, because if you don't, you might short it out, and you don't want to lose out, especially on a $70 item like this. So anyway, I let it dry out, I plugged it in, I put my phone on top of it, and guess what? No problems. No slippage, nothing. And it really makes sense, because any dust, any lint that you do get on the surface here, you're going to reduce the contact points between the very sticky or tacky surface here and the glass. So it's going to make that glass want to slip off. So if you're encountering any problems with your wireless orb and your Nexus 4, you might want to clean it off. I didn't start noticing a problem until maybe about 6 months after owning this, and then I had the slippage of the Nexus 4. Now, since I didn't post this video in a timely manner, you get a little bonus at the end here. Currently, I'm using my Nexus 5. I no longer have my Nexus 4. And I'm using it with the charging orb. Obviously not right now. It's not plugged in. I'm just using this for demonstration purposes here. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know that before I got my Nexus 5 case, this orb was leaving a ring on the back of this phone here, which I couldn't clean off. And since then, I've started putting the case on, and as you might be able to tell here, I think you can see that, it's actually leaving that circle on here again. So, what I'm going to attempt here and now, which I haven't attempted before, so this will be the first time I'm trying it as you see it, I'm going to try and clean that off with isopropyl alcohol, my friend in this video. So let's get my trusty isopropyl alcohol here and a paper towel, and let's see if we can clean this off here. Now, being that the phone itself has sort of a matte look to it, and the same thing is true with the case here, I don't know if the orb is, because electricity is obviously running through the orb, through the back of this phone and charging it up. So I don't know if that is changing the makeup of this matte finish here, or if it's something that'll clean off. So let's see, I got my alcohol on my rag here, on my paper towel, and let's see if we can scrub some of this off. Actually not scrub, but clean some of it off. Okay, as you can see, I cleaned a lot of the grease off of the back of the phone, but you can still see that ring there, and that's not cleaning off. So it probably has to do, again, with the electricity running through the back of this phone, and, you know, those are the contact points there. So if you look on the orb itself, I've got to clean this again. Those are my cats playing. Trust me, they're having fun. They're not beating each other up. Anyway, as you can see here, this is the contact point, this circle here, and that's what makes contact with that. And it's really leaving its mark on my phone, unfortunately. So we'll give it one more try and try and clean it off again with some more alcohol here. Trust me, they're having fun. Alright, let's see if this will work this time. We'll use a circular motion. Alright, now let's wipe that off. And again, you can still see it there. So, kind of a bummer for me, because I like to keep my phones and my gadgets in pristine condition, but obviously this is not a possibility here, because you know, this charger is doing something to the Nexus 5. There is a Nexus 5 and Nexus 7 wireless charger available. It actually lies flat. It's only been out for about a month, maybe a little over a month now, and I haven't had my hands on it. I haven't tried it out. So I don't know if it does what this is doing to my phone. Now, the reason this was not a problem for the Nexus 4 is because the Nexus 4 had a glass back to it. So no matter what you're going to do to that, unless you're going to drop it, but a wireless orb is not going to leave its mark on glass, but it will on rubber and plastic, especially when it's a matte plastic like this. So we started out this video with the Nexus 4 and the problem of it slipping off of the wireless charging orb. So you're probably wondering if the same problem exists with the Nexus 5. Well, it doesn't. And that's because the Nexus 5 doesn't have a glass back. So the friction between the Nexus 5 and the orb is intact, even if the orb has a little dust on it. And that holds true whether you have the case on the device or you don't have the case on the device. So that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. If you like what you see, please subscribe. And as always, if you want to help out my channel, give me a thumbs up, favorite this video, or share this video. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.